Tom adjusted his grip on the stack of schematics and engineering tools he was carrying as he navigated the bustling corridors of the newly established Interstellar Research Facility. The station, a massive structure orbiting a serene blue gas giant, was a hive of activity, with beings from various star systems collaborating and crossing paths. "Tom, wait up," a voice called from behind him. Tom turned to see his colleague, Marco, jogging to catch up, a mischievous grin on his face. "Hey, Marco," Tom greeted, slowing his pace slightly. "What's the rush?" Marco, slightly out of breath, reached him and clapped a hand on his shoulder. "Heard you're heading to the new alien sector today. You sure you're ready for that? The layouts there are a maze." Tom chuckled, shifting his load. "I've got the map downloaded to my datapad, but it's been glitching all morning. Could use an extra set of eyes. You free to help?" "Wouldn't miss it," Marco replied with an enthusiastic nod. "Lead the way, Captain." As they walked, Tom fiddled with his datapad, trying to bring up the map. The screen flickered erratically, displaying fragments of the layout before crashing again. "Damn thing," he muttered. "All right, we might be going a bit blind here." Marco laughed. "Adventures in engineering, right? How bad could it be?" Famous last words, Tom thought, but he only smiled in response. They continued down the main thoroughfare, passing groups of various species, some human, others distinctly not. The diversity of the station was its pride, with each sector designed to accommodate different environmental and cultural preferences. Turning down a less frequented corridor, Tom squinted at the small signs beside each doorway, trying to make out the alien script that had been added beneath the standard. "We're looking for the Environmental Control Unit." The ALEX delegation requested a human touch on their new system setup. "The ALEX, huh? Those are the ones who communicate with lights, right?" Marco asked, his interest piqued as he glanced around the unfamiliar corridor. "That's them. Supposed to be very peaceful and quite private. I hear they don't even have a concept of personal space like we do," Tom explained, leading them around another bend. Just then, Tom's foot caught on a loose panel on the floor, sending him stumbling forward through an open doorway. He barely managed to catch himself against the wall inside, his tools clattering to the floor. "Tom, you all right?" Marco rushed in after him, concern evident in his voice. Rubbing his shoulder where he'd hit the wall, Tom straightened up and looked around, realizing they had entered a room filled with lockers and benches. It was then that he noticed the peculiar silence and the absence of any other presence. Marco," Tom started, his voice lowering as he picked up a distinctly feminine item of clothing from a nearby bench. "I think we've made a slight miscalculation." Marco's eyes widened as he took in the surroundings, the distinctly personal items scattered around, the layout that suggested a changing area. "Oh man, this isn't just any room. You've led us straight into the women's locker room." Before Tom could respond, a light shimmered in the air, and an ALEX appeared. She was taller than a human, her skin shimmering with a soft glow that fluctuated with her movements. Instead of shock or anger, her features softened into a curious tilt of the head. "Greetings," she said, her voice a melodious hum. "Is this a customary human introduction? I am Zyra. I was not informed of this practice." Tom, now completely mortified, managed a weak smile. "Actually, Zyra, this is a big misunderstanding. We didn't mean to intrude. We're engineers, lost engineers." Zyra's colors pulsed gently, a sign of amusement. "An honest error, then. Let us start anew, properly. You wish to assist with our environmental controls?" "Yes, that's right," Tom confirmed, relief washing over him as Marco helped him gather the scattered tools. "Then I shall guide you," Zyra offered, her light patterns shimmering thoughtfully. "And perhaps, along the way, you can explain more about human customs to me." As they exited the locker room, Tom exchanged a look with Marco, both of them silently agreeing that this was going to be an assignment they wouldn't soon forget. As they followed Zyra through the winding corridors of the ALEX sector, Tom and Marco tried to keep pace with her fluid, graceful movements. The corridor was bathed in a soft light that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, casting a tranquil glow on the path ahead. "So, Zyra," Marco began, his curiosity piqued, You mentioned you're unfamiliar with some human customs. What's something about Alix culture that might surprise us? Zyra paused, turning to face them. Her skin subtly shifted colors, reflecting her thoughtful mood. Our society values the collective knowledge and experience. We share thoughts and emotions through light signals, which makes our communication very direct and honest. There is little room for misunderstanding among Alix. Tom nodded, impressed. Sounds efficient. Human communication could use a bit of that sometimes. We rely a lot on words, and well, words can be misinterpreted. Indeed, Zyra replied, her colors brightening slightly. But there is beauty in your complexity. Now, what is this locker room incident? Is it a significant ritual? Marco chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. Not exactly a ritual. It's more about privacy. Humans are pretty particular about personal spaces, especially in changing areas. Fascinating, Zyra mused, as they reached a door marked with more Alix script. Here is where we need your expertise. Our environmental control unit is inside. The door slid open, revealing a room filled with panels and holographic displays. The technology was advanced, yet distinctly different from anything Tom or Marco had worked with before. Zyra stepped aside, gesturing to the control unit. We are trying to stabilize our atmospheric processors to better mimic our home planet's conditions. The current settings are suboptimal. Tom set his toolbox down and approached the panel. Let's see what you've got here. He studied the symbols on the display, then glanced at Zyra. I might need a quick rundown on what all these symbols mean. Zyra nodded, her light patterns fluttering. Of course. This symbol, she pointed to a swirling icon, represents wind, air flow and circulation. And this one, Marco inquired, pointing to a symbol that looked like a droplet. That is water, humidity and moisture levels, Zyra explained, her tone patient and informative. With Zyra's guidance, Tom began adjusting the settings, experimenting with combinations of airflow and humidity that could closely replicate the Alix environment. Marco took notes, occasionally asking for clarifications, which Zyra provided with ease. As they worked, Tom found himself more intrigued by the Alix way of life. Zyra, how do you handle conflicts, if everyone understands each other so clearly? Zyra's colors dimmed to a soft blue, a sign of contemplation. Conflicts are rare, but when they occur, we focus on realignment and harmony. Understanding the root cause is key to resolving disputes. That's quite advanced. Humans could learn a lot from that, Marco remarked, impressed by the simplicity and effectiveness of their methods. Zyra smiled, a subtle ripple of light. And we have much to learn from humans as well. Today has been quite enlightening. With the environmental controls adjusted, the atmosphere in the room shifted, becoming noticeably more vibrant and suited to the Alix physiology. Feels like home, Zyra expressed, her lights shimmering with satisfaction. Tom packed up his tools, feeling a sense of accomplishment. Glad we could help. Maybe next time. The locker room can just be a funny story and not a surprise cultural exchange. Indeed, Zyra agreed, her laughter echoing in light patterns around the room. I look forward to more shared learning, Tom. Marco? As they left the control room, Marco nudged Tom. You know, this could be the start of something big. Human-Alix collaborations could go a long way. Yeah, Tom replied, looking back at Zyra, who was still radiating light happily. Starting with understanding each other's locker room policies, they all laughed, the sound mingling with the light, marking the beginning of a unique and promising friendship. As Tom and Marco became more involved with the Alix community, they found themselves frequently visiting their sector. Today, they were joined by another human colleague, Jensen, who was curious about the communication techniques Tom and Marco had been learning. So, you're saying they talk with lights? How does that even work in a practical sense? Jensen asked, skepticism lacing his tone as they approached the Alix communal center. It's more nuanced than that, Tom explained, leading the way through the vibrant corridor. Their skin changes colors and patterns depending on their emotions and what they're trying to say. It's direct and surprisingly expressive. Marco nodded in agreement. Imagine if you could literally see someone's mood shift. No hiding your feelings. It's all out there. They were greeted at the center by Zyra, who seemed to glow with a welcoming light pattern. "Greetings, Jensen. I understand you are interested in our methods of communication?" Jensen nodded, clearly intrigued. "Yes, I'm eager to learn how it works. Maybe there's something we can adapt for human use." Zyra smiled, or at least her version of a smile, as her lights brightened. "Let us begin with the basics. Observe." She directed her arm towards a panel on the wall, which lit up with different colors. "This panel is similar to our skin. I will project an emotion, and you tell me what you perceive," Zyra instructed. She focused, and the panel turned a calm shade of blue. "What do you think this represents?" she asked. "Calmness? Peace?" Jensen guessed, watching the colors shift. "Correct," Zyra confirmed. "Blue often signifies tranquility in our culture. Now, observe this." The colors shifted to a rapid flickering of red and orange. "Something intense? Anger, maybe?" Jensen ventured a guess. "Not quite," Zyra replied. "It is more akin to excitement or passion. Our emotions are not always directly translatable to human emotions." "Fascinating," Jensen murmured, his earlier skepticism fading as he saw the potential for misunderstanding, but also for deeper understanding. Tom then turned to Marco, signaling him to share their experience. "Marco and I have been trying to understand and even mimic these signals. It's challenging but enlightening." "Show him, Marco," Tom encouraged. With a grin, Marco focused, attempting to mimic the light patterns with a small device they had been given, which could project similar patterns. The device emitted a clumsy sequence of greens and yellows. Zyra laughed, a series of light pulses that felt warm and inviting. A commendable effort. Green typically signifies curiosity, and yellow amusement. "You are partially correct in your expression," Jensen laughed, clearly enjoying the interaction. "There's a whole language of lights. This could revolutionize how we interact on the station, especially in mixed communities." "Exactly," Tom said. "It's about understanding each other better. Maybe even developing a hybrid way of communicating that could use both human and ALIC strengths." "Let's try something more interactive," Zyra suggested. "I will express a series of emotions, and you try to respond with what you think is appropriate using the device." For the next hour, they engaged in this back-and-forth exchange, with Jensen gradually getting the hang of it. Each correct guess was met with bright, affirmative flashes from Zyra, while misunderstandings were gently corrected with suggestions for improvement. As the session drew to a close, Jensen was noticeably more enthusiastic. "There's a rhythm to it, almost like a dance. I can see how this could help in daily interactions, not just here but across various sectors." Tom nodded in agreement. "It's about building bridges. Maybe one day, these lessons could lead to a station-wide seminar. Imagine the possibilities if everyone could understand each other a little better." Zyra's lights shimmered with what could only be described as hope. "That is a future worth striving for. Continued learning and sharing between our peoples." As they left the communal center, Jensen was buzzing with ideas, already talking about organizing further sessions and even involving other species. Tom and Marco exchanged a satisfied look, pleased with the progress and the promise of what was yet to come. Their small steps in learning were indeed paving the way for something much larger. The following week, Tom and Marco decided to bring Zyra into a more familiar human setting by inviting her to one of the station's social gatherings. It was a casual event meant to foster better relations among the various species on the station. As they approached the venue, a small lounge decked out with various human and alien decorations, Jensen joined them, brimming with excitement about introducing Zyra to more human customs. "Just a heads up, Zyra," Jensen started, his tone friendly. "Humans like to greet each other with handshakes or hugs at these kinds of things. It's a sign of warmth and welcome." Zyra nodded, her lights pulsing softly in a pattern that Tom had learned to recognize as her expressing understanding. "I will try to remember." "It is quite different from our usual light exchanges." As they entered the lounge, the room was buzzing with chatter and light music playing in the background. Several humans and a few aliens from other species mingled, some holding drinks, others laughing and sharing stories. Marco led the way to a group of colleagues. "Hey, everyone, this is Zyra from the ALIC sector. She's here to experience a human-style gathering." The group greeted Zyra enthusiastically. One of Tom's colleagues, Sarah, stepped forward with a smile and extended her arms, going in for a hug. Zyra, taken by surprise but remembering Jensen's earlier words, responded by emitting a rapid series of bright, colorful light patterns all over her body. The room quieted for a moment as everyone took in the stunning display. Sarah, slightly taken aback, pulled back gently. "Oh, I hope I didn't startle you. That was beautiful, though." Zyra's colors settled into a calm pattern. "My apologies if that was too much." In Alex culture, that is a profound sharing of emotion, akin to a deep connection or bond. I thought it appropriate to respond strongly to what I believed was a significant gesture. Tom quickly stepped in to ease any tension. "It's all good. Sarah, that's actually quite a compliment among the Alex. It means Zyra really appreciates the gesture." Sarah's face lit up with a mix of relief and fascination. "Wow, that's really special then." "Thank you, Zyra." Jensen chuckled, turning to the group. "See, we're all learning here tonight. Just goes to show how gestures can mean different things across cultures." The conversation soon picked up again, with people asking Zyra about her culture and the meaning behind different light patterns. Tom and Marco watched as Zyra explained her people's customs, with the group listening intently, visibly intrigued. As the evening progressed, Tom noticed how the initial awkwardness gave way to genuine interest and laughter. At one point, Marco brought over a handheld translator device, which he and Jensen had been tweaking to include Alex light patterns as part of its programming. "Here, Zyra, we've been working on this. It's not perfect, but it should help translate some basic Alex patterns into standard," Marco explained, handing the device to her. Zyra examined the device, her lights expressing curiosity and appreciation. "This is a thoughtful innovation. It will certainly assist in bridging our communication." The group tested the device, taking turns asking questions and marveling at the translations of Zyra's light responses into words. The device wasn't flawless but managed to capture the essence of her messages, adding depth to their interactions. As the party wound down, Tom felt a profound sense of accomplishment. This was a great idea, bringing everyone together like this. It feels like we've taken a big step toward understanding each other. Marco agreed, his eyes following the mingling crowd. "Yeah, who knew a misunderstood hug could lead to such a great exchange?" Jensen, always the enthusiast, added, "We should make this a regular thing. Think about all the misinterpretations we could clear up." Laughing, they all agreed it was the start of something good. As they said their goodbyes, Zyra's departing light display was softer, a gentle wave of colors that now felt familiar and warm to everyone. In the weeks following the social gathering, the atmosphere around the station seemed more open and collaborative. Inspired by the success of the event, Tom and Marco continued to work closely with Zyra, exploring deeper aspects of Alex and human interactions. One evening, in a quieter part of the station's communal area designed for cross-cultural exchanges, Tom arranged a meeting to discuss the concept of intimacy in different cultures. He invited Jensen and another colleague, Dr. Elliot Reed, a cultural anthropologist, to join the conversation. As they settled around a low, circular table, Tom initiated the discussion. "Zyra, last time, your response to a simple hug was very illuminating. It made me wonder how Alex interpret intimacy." Zyra's lights shifted to a soothing pattern, indicating her comfort with the subject. "Intimacy for us is deeply connected to the sharing of light. It is not just visual but emotional. When we share certain patterns, it is akin to sharing parts of our soul." Dr. Reed, always keen to learn about new cultures, leaned forward, intrigued. "That's fascinating. Among humans, intimacy can be expressed in many ways: physical touch, verbal communication, and shared experiences. It varies greatly across different cultures on Earth alone." Jensen, always more direct, added, "Yeah, like how some people are more into hugs, while others might just want to talk or do something fun together. How do you start getting close to someone in Alex culture?" Zyra thought for a moment, her lights dimming in concentration before responding. "It begins with a mutual display of colors that we call the harmony of lights. It's a way to express interest and compatibility. If the patterns synchronize well, it signifies a potential for deeper connection." Marco, curious about the practical application, asked, "Could you show us what that might look like?" Zyra nodded and stood, moving to a clearer space in the center of the room. "I will need a volunteer." Tom volunteered, standing to join her. "What should I do?" "Just remain open and receptive," Zyra instructed. She began to emit a series of slow, undulating colors. Tom watched, fascinated, as the lights reflected his own feelings of curiosity and openness, creating a feedback loop of shimmering lights. Dr. Reed observed the interaction with professional interest. This is a powerful form of nonverbal communication. It's more immediate and, perhaps, more honest than many human methods. As the light exchange continued, everyone in the room felt a calming effect, a testament to the powerful emotional connection being facilitated. After a few minutes, Zyra's display gradually subsided, and she looked at Tom with a gentle flicker of amusement. "In Alex culture, you and I would now be considered close friends, having shared a harmony." Tom smiled, feeling strangely moved by the experience. "I have to admit, that was really peaceful. Like understanding someone without words." Jensen clapped Tom on the shoulder, laughing lightly. "Looks like you made a new best friend without saying a word." The group laughed together, the mood light and congenial. Dr. Reed took the opportunity to suggest, this could be a valuable study, understanding how different cultures handle intimacy and whether these methods could be adapted across cultures. Marco nodded enthusiastically. "I think we're just scratching the surface. Imagine integrating human and Alex communication techniques. We could develop something new, a blend of both worlds." Zyra's colors brightened at the idea. "I am pleased to continue this exchange. It seems we have much to learn from each other." As the meeting ended, they all agreed to document their findings and experiences to share with the wider station community. Walking back to their quarters, Tom felt a deep sense of contentment and possibility. The simple act of sharing lights had opened up new avenues of understanding and connection, bridging worlds without a word spoken. The newfound understanding and collaboration between humans and the Alex led to an invitation for Tom, Marco, Jensen, and Dr. Reed to attend a significant Alex cultural event, the Festival of Lights. This festival, a vibrant celebration of cosmic alignment and unity, was a perfect opportunity for both species to further their exchange of cultural practices. As the group prepared to attend the festival, Zyra met them at the entrance of the Alex sector, her body shimmering with an array of welcoming lights. "This festival is one of the most important events for my people," Zyra explained as they walked towards the central pavilion. "It marks the time when our home planets align, creating a pattern of lights in the sky that we replicate here." Tom, carrying a small device they had been tinkering with to emit light patterns, was eager to participate. "We've been working on something special for tonight, Zyra. We hope it will honor the spirit of the festival." Zyra's lights pulsed warmly. "We are eager to see what you have created." Upon arriving at the pavilion, they were greeted by a spectacular sight. The area was lit with intricate patterns of lights that danced across surfaces and in the air, creating a mesmerizing display of moving colors. Alex individuals moved among the lights, their own patterns interacting with those around them in a breathtaking visual symphony. Dr. Reed, ever the observer, noted, "This is remarkable. The way the lights are used to enhance social interactions could offer new insights into nonverbal communication studies." Jensen, who had been practicing with the light device, nodded in agreement. "Let's add our part to this beautiful canvas." He switched on the device, and it began to project a series of patterns they had programmed based on their learnings from Zyra. The human-made patterns were simple compared to the Alex displays, but were met with enthusiastic reception. Alex attendees approached, their lights blending with the human-created patterns in a show of appreciation and curiosity. Marco, watching the interactions, said to Tom, "Look at that. Our efforts are really resonating with them. It's like we're speaking their language now." Tom smiled, feeling a profound connection to the event. It's more than just sharing technology or ideas. It's about creating something together, something new and beautiful. As the evening progressed, Zyra introduced them to various aspects of the festival, including a ritual where individuals shared their hopes for the next cycle by sending up lanterns with lights that matched their personal light patterns. When it came time for the humans to participate, Tom felt a surge of pride as they released their lantern into the sky, the light patterns they had created mingling with those of the Aelix. Zyra, observing the lanterns rising into the artificial sky of the station, remarked, "Your participation has added a new dimension to our festival. This exchange of culture and technology enriches us all." Dr. Reed captured the moment on a portable recorder, planning to include it in his cultural studies. This will be an excellent case study on the power of cultural integration and mutual respect. As the festival drew to a close, the group reflected on their experiences. Jensen, usually the more practical among them, was unusually reflective. Tonight wasn't just about watching or even participating. It was about truly being a part of something. Marco agreed, his voice filled with excitement. "I think we're on the brink of something revolutionary here. Combining our cultures, our technologies. It could change the way we interact with all the species on this station." Zyra's lights glowed softly, a sign of her deep contentment. "This is just the beginning. I foresee a future where our combined efforts lead to greater understanding and cooperation across the galaxy." As they left the festival, the lights dimming behind them, Tom felt a sense of accomplishment and anticipation. The bridge they were building was not just between two species, but potentially among all the inhabitants of the station, a testament to the unifying power of shared experiences and mutual respect. The success of the Festival of Lights had a ripple effect throughout the station, inspiring further interest and participation in human-Aelix cultural exchanges. However, Tom, Marco, and Jensen soon learned that not all reactions were positive. A few weeks after the festival, during a routine meeting in the human sector, the group discussed some less enthusiastic feedback they had received from various station inhabitants, both human and alien. Tom laid out the messages on the table, a frown creasing his forehead. "Some are concerned we're blending too much with the Aelix, losing sight of our own traditions." Jensen, ever the optimist, shook his head. "It's just fear of the unknown. Once they see the benefits, they'll come around. We're creating something new here, not losing anything." Marco rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "Maybe we need to communicate better what we're actually doing. It's about mutual enrichment, not replacement." As they debated, Dr. Reed joined them, bringing a fresh perspective. "I've been talking to some of the dissenters. It's clear there's a fundamental misunderstanding about our goals. Perhaps we need a more formal forum to address these concerns." The idea struck a chord with the group, and they decided to organize a community meeting. Tom took the lead in setting it up, inviting representatives from all sectors of the station. On the day of the meeting, the conference room was packed. Tom started the session, addressing the mixed crowd of humans and aliens. "Thank you all for coming. We're here to discuss the future of our cultural exchange programs, including any concerns you might have." A human representative, Ms. Lorian, voiced her concerns first. "Isn't there a risk that our own cultures will become diluted? How do we preserve our heritage while embracing that of the Aelix?" Before Tom could respond, Zyra stepped forward, her lights displaying a soothing pattern. "Our intention is not to overshadow or replace any culture, but to share and grow together. Each culture retains its integrity while gaining new perspectives." Dr. Reed added, "Cultural exchange has been a part of human history for millennia. It's about adding layers, not replacing them. By sharing with the Aelix, we enrich our own traditions." The discussion opened up, with various attendees expressing their fears and hopes. Jensen and Marco facilitated parts of the conversation, ensuring everyone had a chance to speak. An Aelix participant, Threx, shared a compelling argument. "In the vastness of space, isolation can be our biggest enemy. These exchanges can be our strength, allowing us to face larger challenges together." As the meeting progressed, the mood shifted from apprehension to understanding. Tom could see the change in the room, the softening of expressions, both human and alien, as fears were addressed and questions answered. At the end of the session, Ms. Lorian approached Tom. "I admit, I was skeptical, but hearing everyone's thoughts has opened my eyes. Perhaps there's more to gain here than I thought." Tom smiled, grateful for her honesty. "It's a journey for all of us, Ms. Lorian. We're learning as we go." The group agreed to continue the dialogues, setting up regular meetings and communication channels to keep everyone informed and engaged. As the crowd dispersed, Marco clapped Tom on the back. "Well handled, Tom. Looks like we're back on track." Jensen chimed in, "It's all about understanding, right? Sometimes, just talking openly can turn the tide." With a renewed sense of purpose, the team felt confident about the path ahead. They had faced skepticism and concern head-on, turning it into an opportunity for deeper dialogue and stronger community ties. Walking back to their quarters, Tom, Marco, and Jensen discussed plans for the next cultural exchange event. Despite the challenges, their commitment to fostering understanding and collaboration across cultures remained unwavering, fueled by the positive outcomes of today's meeting. The community meetings had become a regular part of life on the station, each session building on the last, weaving a tighter fabric of understanding and cooperation among all inhabitants. As the cultural exchange program grew, so did the partnerships between humans and the Aelix, leading to innovations neither could have achieved alone. Several months after the initial controversies, Tom and Marco stood in a newly established joint laboratory, observing a group of human and Aelix scientists collaborating on a project that combined human engineering techniques with Aelix bioluminescent technology. Marco, looking around at the busy lab, remarked to Tom, "Can you believe how far we've come? From that accidental locker room meeting to this?" Tom nodded, his expression one of pride and satisfaction. "It's beyond what I'd hoped for. And to think it all started with a misunderstanding." Jensen, who had joined them to see the progress firsthand, added, "It goes to show you, every challenge is an opportunity in disguise. Look at this, creating light without wasting energy, all thanks to combining our tech with their natural abilities." Dr. Reed, now a regular collaborator, approached the trio with a smile. "Gentlemen, we're ready for the first test of the bioluminescent light panels. Care to do the honors?" Tom stepped forward eagerly, his hand hovering over the activation switch. "Here goes nothing," he said, and flipped the switch. The room was instantly bathed in a soft, glowing light, illuminating the lab with a warm, amber hue that mimicked the light of a sunset. The Aelix scientists, their bodies responding to the light, began to shimmer gently, reflecting the room's ambience in a mesmerizing display. "It's beautiful," Marco whispered, his voice filled with awe. Zyra, who had been overseeing the final setup, joined them, her skin aglow with patterns that expressed joy and accomplishment. "This is a momentous day. Our collaboration has not only bridged our cultural gaps, but has led to practical applications that benefit us all." Dr. Reed, ever the academic, was quick to think about the implications. "We need to document this, presented at the next Interstellar Conference. It's a prime example of successful cross-cultural cooperation." Jensen nodded in agreement. "And think about the energy savings for the station. We've just tapped into something huge here." As the group discussed the next steps, such as refining the technology and planning future projects, Tom felt a profound sense of connection to everyone in the room, regardless of their origin. "Zyra," Tom said, turning to her, "you mentioned once that sharing light is like sharing a part of your soul. It seems we're doing just that, on a scale I never imagined." Zyra's lights pulsed warmly. "Indeed, Tom. What began as sharing space has evolved into sharing our essence, our ideas, and our visions for the future." The conversation turned to plans for expanding the program, exploring other areas where human technology and Aelix bioluminescence could be integrated. Ideas flew around the room, each more exciting than the last. As the meeting concluded, Marco, Tom, and Jensen lingered in the lab, watching the Aelix scientists continue their work. "This is just the beginning," Marco said, a broad smile on his face. "Who knows what we'll be celebrating next year?" "Whatever it is, I'm looking forward to it," Tom replied, his gaze fixed on the glowing panels. "This light, it's a symbol of what we've achieved together. A blend of both our worlds, shining brighter than either could alone." Jensen clapped both of them on the shoulders. "Let's keep pushing the boundaries, guys. Today, light panels. Tomorrow, who knows? The sky's the limit." Laughing and full of plans, the group finally left the lab, the light behind them a soft testament to their shared efforts and mutual respect. The station, once just a place of work, had truly become a home, a community where different beings learned from each other and grew together, creating a bright future, illuminated by the light of unity and cooperation.